welcome Sean Wilson, VP of Client Solutions, Tarek Sheikh, Director of Collaboration Solutions, and Dan Farrell, Collaboration Architect from SMP, who are going to walk you through SMP's Cloud Calling and Contact Center webinar. And with that, hand it over to you, Sean.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. And good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for taking time to meet with us this morning. We have about an hour and 25 minutes of content or so, and the agenda today will be to quickly talk about some collaboration trends and how that aligns with cloud collaboration technologies in general. We will then step into challenges that organizations are experiencing with regards to collaboration, certainly with premise-based legacy systems, hybrid state, and cloud together. We're going to talk about some benefits of cloud collaboration, right, and how it addresses the challenges that we speak to prior. And then I will hand it off to Tarek, who's our Director of Collaboration Solutions, to take you through UCM Cloud Calling. We will then transition to Dan Farrell, who will take you through WebEx Calling, back to Tarek for WebEx Contact Center, and then I'll take you through some programs, trials, and a closing. So with that, let's talk about some collaboration trends. In today's collaboration industry, arguably, aside from pervasive video, which has been driven from COVID, arguably the hottest collaboration trend is workstream collaboration. And what really workstream collaboration means is the WebEx Teams, Slack, Microsoft Teams type collaboration where business messaging and workstream messaging is integrated with a platform that consolidates all of your workflows wherever possible into a single pane of glass. So workstream collaboration, specifically WebEx Teams, which we'll talk about throughout today's session, is one of the hottest trends in collaboration and has been for the last 3 years. Cloud calling, right? So cloud calling is another very hot trend right now. Organizations who have big investments in large premise-based environments are looking to take the operational overhead and the specialized skill sets at times and look at how they can take that to the cloud. And we're going to focus heavily on that today. For Cloud Contact Center, same idea, right? So big legacy contact centers sitting in folks' environments where cloud is now delivering wonderful contact center solutions and taking advantage of things like analytics and AI can take customer experience to the next level. And Tarek will take you through that today. Pervasive video. Right, here we are today, leveraging WebEx, right? And just about the entire world right now is leveraging a web conferencing tool in some fashion or form. And we've had the luxury of being able to see how our clients are taking advantage of these solutions. And again, from an analytics perspective, seeing the explosion of video, even though it was already well on its way to becoming incredibly pervasive, right? While the millennials and Generation Z thrive on this, organizations have embraced it and now require it, right? Simply because of where COVID has taken things. And then interoperability, right? So interoperability is key to a strong collaboration outcome. There's a number of different tools throughout organizations that folks use, whether that be for CRM or EMR in the healthcare industry, Microsoft technologies for directory and messaging. Maybe there's some Google interop, right? Maybe there's some ServiceNow integrations that you need, right? That ultimately tie your work stream together, leveraging collaboration technology. So how we interact, not just with our customers, but collaborate internally as organizations as well. So those are the hot trends right now in the collaboration industry. Now here are some collaboration challenges. I mentioned this. Multiple platforms and operational overhead. So I personally have been in the collaboration industry dating back to around 2000. All right, so 20 years now in this industry with a heavy emphasis on voice, video, unified communications, and contact center, right, when it comes to collab specifically. And what we see organizations struggling with and have struggled with for the last several years is all of those different platforms out there, all right, and the operational overhead to maintain those platforms. Cisco has done a wonderful job with giving us the ease and tools to keep their platforms upgraded when they're premise-based. But for organizations who are very, very large organizations with big, mature IT staff, tend to leverage on the partner community like SMP to keep those systems running the way that they should be and ensuring that best practices and design is as it should be. Okay, so multiple platforms and operational overhead is a big piece. Interoperability has also been a challenge, always and also been a challenge. Interoperability between different vendors has created, at times, pain for organizations. All right, at the end of the day, it's all possible, but it results in disjointed experiences. All right, and disjointed experiences could be anything from needing to use 2 or 3 tools to complete something in a workflow or complete an interaction, and it can be clunky at times. There's something to be said when it comes to unified communications and collaboration technology for vendor consolidation. There's always going to be ecosystem partners that make up the solution, especially in the hybrid state. But as we move towards cloud, you'll see how consolidation can help us tremendously. So at the end of the day, disjointed experiences result in user adoption challenges, right? And we all know that if the user experience is down, it's going to impact user adoption, can impact the ROI of a solution that you invest in, right? And at the same time, create shadow IT. Because at the end of the day, your users are just going to go find something that works for them. Okay, and I know that creates a lot of challenges. That in turn can create compliancy issues. Right? So you see the steady trend here, right? Not just adoption specifically, but lots of different platforms can create compliancy issues. There's so many things that you need to pay attention to now when it comes to voice and messaging, all right? And how we ensure that the regulatory compliance and the things that you're held accountable for are kept intact, right? And if your platforms on premise become dated, right, and you don't keep those up to date, compliancy rears its head, okay? And those issues can create a lot of problems for organizations. We all know how important security is right now. And arguably the biggest is lack of agility. And so we all know that hybrid and cloud by itself can create tremendous agility. And we're going to focus on that today, being able to spin up and spin down as the business demands, okay? And the lack of agility can create challenges, right? If you have multiple platforms, going back to the first circle, it's much harder to be agile. And most organizations are looking for the ability to pivot when they need to, expand when they need to, right? And have a platform that scales. To reinforce some of these points, I'm a big numbers guy. Okay, so we need to take a look at the cost and complexity section here. 70% of IT buyers expect to reduce IT support efforts when moving to cloud calling. So that aligns with the first bubble on the last page, operational overhead, keeping premise-based systems, legacy-based systems, lots of integrated old systems up and running. So organizations feel and have done a lot of ROI on this, that in the event that you are able to start moving to the cloud, and when you fully get to the cloud, there's going to be tremendous cost savings. Disconnected calling experiences. I already referred to this, but 78% of the IT leaders see cloud UC as a core part of their digital transformation. A lot of this comes down to standards, comes down to you being able to focus on things that matter, and comes down to the agility piece that I was just referring to at the end. And then 79% of buyers want better service for mobile and remote workers. While Cisco has always done a phenomenal job of extending collaboration services from a premise-based system outside the 4 walls, we have a number of wonderful remote workforce solutions that we've implemented just since COVID. The cloud makes that even easier. All right, so you don't need to worry about how you securely can connect back to your data centers anymore if you're 100% cloud. Regardless of where you are, things are over the top. Right? You can connect across the internet to your services. COVID is a perfect example of how important that is. So the benefits, we always want to tie challenges back to benefits in everything that we do. So cloud collaboration business benefits, singular platform. In the event that you can consolidate to a singular platform, there's going to be a tremendous amount of business benefits. Operational overhead, agility, mergers and acquisitions, the ability to scale up and down. So many things come from that. Decreasing complexity and operational overhead, as I just alluded to. There's some hard cost savings and extended ROI here. And so when we think of business benefits, when we talk to our clients, there's a few that really stick out. There's hard cost savings, there's true growth, there's improved productivity and efficiency, there's risk reduction, right? And there's increasing the profitability of the organization, which is separate from growth. And so those 5 business benefits, cloud collaboration technology brings all of these to light. Tremendous risk reduction. We talked about compliancy. With risk reduction being introduced with cloud because somebody else is keeping it up to date and you no longer have to worry about falling behind, all the regulatory compliance issues that you're typically concerned with can go away. There's native integrations with cloud. Native, mature, next-gen integrations. And I think that's what's important. The big vendors in this space are coming together and have come together to make interoperability at the end of the day far easier, seamless, okay, and native. And that ends up being a big piece too when you're moving to the cloud. And the unified experience. So unified experience is very, very powerful. Right? So we talked about work stream collaboration in the very, very beginning. Unified experience is consolidating everything that you possibly can into one pane of glass, providing a wonderful experience for users regardless of the collaboration medium that you're using. So think calling, think video, think messaging, think content sharing, file collaboration, all of those things. How can we get to a unified experience? The cloud brings that to light. There's no premise-based systems by anybody who can provide a full end-to-end unified experience. Right? So the cloud brings that to organizations today. Let's talk about that. Cisco WebEx. It's important that everybody knows, and we've been saying this for a few years now, Cisco WebEx is a brand. Cisco WebEx is not just a meetings and events platform. Cisco has renamed their collaboration portfolio WebEx. For those who live and breathe this technology every day, they understand the application names like Unified Communications Manager and Unity Connection, Unified Contact Center Express, Emergency Responder, all of those premise-based applications. The cloud side of things is 100% Cisco WebEx. Even their devices are named WebEx devices. It's important to know that when you see Cisco WebEx, if this is the first time you've heard this, please make sure that you aren't just thinking about the meetings platform. It's so much more than that. And this slide visually depicts that. It is their calling, meetings, messaging, device, and integrations platform for collaboration technology. And they have built a unified app with full feature parity coming here in the next month, which I'll take you through momentarily. But when you think about WebEx, think about a single platform for all of collaboration mediums that you use today. Very, very slick ways of integrating with the on-premise world, which Tarek and Dan will take you through. So for those who have large installed base or have just recently installed Communications Manager on-premise, that's okay. And the licensing models and everything that you have today can protect you and allow you to move to the cloud when you need to. A couple of slides on the unified app. I'm not going to spend too much time here. We'll hand it off to Tarek. The unified app, if you go left to right, you can see the different device types that they're using to integrate and interact with the WebEx cloud and people. So you can go all the way from an iPhone to an Android device, to an IP phone, to a personal video desktop device, or a full-blown room device like the WebEx board on the right. All of these can register not only the premise-based Communications Manager, but also register the cloud. So for folks who want to go all in on cloud, you still have all the tools, all the technology, and the familiar experience that you're used to. As again, if I go left to right, the powerful thing about the WebEx Unified app is it's modular. For organizations that really rely on Cisco, for example, for calling, you can leverage a unified app for calling, and calling only if you choose to do that. It can be a messaging only application, and WebEx Teams is an incredibly powerful workstream messaging application with wonderful integrations to the Microsoft file collaboration side. So think SharePoint and OneDrive. It can be calling plus meetings. It can be meetings only. For folks who are WebEx meetings customers and happen to have a different voice solution, they can still use the WebEx Unified app. And then full team collaboration capabilities. And what we mean by that is all of the above. Okay, so that's singular pane of glass for all of your collaboration needs. Here's a quick slide on the journey for the Unified app. So for folks who have big install bases and have leveraged Cisco Unified Communications for a long time, you know about IP Communicator in the old days for soft phone. Cisco Jabber, which was their rich collaboration client for years, and it still has a healthy roadmap. There's large organizations using Jabber in a big way. because there's some advantages in their minds for how they leverage that client from a voice perspective and in contact centers. But if you look at the journey, you got WebEx Teams, WebEx Meetings, and Jabber. And as you go left to right, you can see the consolidation of the services into one application. This has been a long time coming. There's no collaboration vendor today that can ensure that you're only using one app to do everything. Okay, and this is really the journey for Cisco, and what's been wonderful is how they've handled the end user in the experience. Cisco Jabber 12 and up looks just like WebEx Teams. So for organizations who are entitled to both, when they're ready to leverage the cloud services side, the impact to the end user is null. It's the same client. It looks and feels identical. And for folks who depend heavily on the WebEx desktop app today, you can move to the unified app, full-blown feature parity, and sunset the desktop app soon. All right, so more to follow on this. If you have any questions on this, please follow up with us. So safe harbor statement. Some of the things that Tarek and Dan are going to talk about today, all right, are a little forward thinking. Everything that we're talking about is within the quarter. Okay, so everybody should know that. So if you have any questions about what they discussed today, just know there's some forward-looking statements, and we're happy to tell you which those are if they don't call it out specifically. We always have to put this out here. So with that, I will hand off to Tarek Sheikh, our Director of Collaboration Solutions, to take you through UCM Cloud.
Thank you, Sean. If you can pass the ball over. All right. Well, thank you very much for everyone joining today's webinar. I'm going to be talking about the UCM Cloud. Since Sean already talked about the challenges, I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to go right into the UCM Cloud. As most of the customers are thinking about options to move to the cloud, they talk about that we got a huge install base, and one of the struggles we are having is, how can I move my UCM to the cloud? So there are a couple of options that exist today, and I'm going to be really focused on Cisco's hosted version, which is the UCM Cloud. And there's another flavor of cloud-based offering from Cisco that Dan is going to cover after this. So what is UCM Cloud? Cisco Unified Communications Manager Cloud, known as Cisco UCM Cloud, is an ideal migration path for existing on-premises UC Manager customers. UCM Cloud is powered by Cisco. It's powered by Cisco UCM and is hosted in WebEx data centers around the world. It is generally intended for large enterprise customers with 1,000+ users. The UCM Cloud solution is based on Cisco UCM version 12.5, and it includes the applications like CUCM, Unity Connection, IM Presence, Emergency Responder, Expressways, and they recently added UCCX just last week. The solution is highly customizable and scalable. Every customer basically is built with a dedicated private UCM Cloud instance and in Cisco's data centers. Basically, it gives customers a same look and a feel of their UCM admin interface and that familiar user experience with Jabber and the Teams client. It is also integrated with the WebEx Teams for calling and collaboration. And as we know that today with the on-prem UCM, we are able to register the WebEx Teams client to UCM natively. So you get all the benefits of team messaging that UCM Cloud offers. Then, as I mentioned earlier, UCM Cloud is available via WebEx data centers, and it is available in North America, EMEA, and Asia Pac. So what are some of the benefits of UCM Cloud? Starting out from left to right, there's no disruptions from either administrative or end user perspective. The same UCM user experience, the same features are supported across both platforms, on-prem and the cloud. So when you start up on-prem and then you transition through the hybrid zone to get in the cloud, you still have the same great experience. The dial plan has to be fully integrated. And from an end user perspective, there is no loss of features or functionality or disruption of service in terms of learning new features. The dedicated customer instance that I talked about earlier provides security. Each customer will be deployed in a multi-tenant platform, has a dedicated instance, as I talked about again. It's really specific to them, so they can configure it, they can really play around with it, or basically configure it based on how they like it. The system is redundant. Again, leveraging the great features inherited within the UCM. There is obviously redundancy built at a local level within the data center. You have a dual data center across geos with full geo redundancy and global redundancy if you're a multinational customer. In terms of the API, all of the API or any integrations or any third-party integrations that you have on-premise today will continue to work in the cloud. And all the business processes tied to those integrations will continue to work without the need to reinvest or redo any of the work. And finally, the other benefit about cloud calling is the extended return on investment that Sean touched upon as well. So as we know that when customers want to make a decision to move to the cloud, it's a difficult decision. It could potentially be very costly as well. So if you're moving to cloud services with UCM Cloud, you don't have to go and reinvest and buy new phones. Existing phones will continue to work. You don't have to go in and invest in new gateways or integrate or configure those gateways. Configuration will always be required, but you don't really have to reinvest on the phones, the gateways, or all the investment that you already have. From a services capabilities perspective, UCM Cloud provides all the traditional Cisco services like voice, video, mobility, IM presence, WebEx Teams, and the WebEx meetings. So it's bringing really a complete collaboration solution to the customers. And I talked about the UCM Cloud, basically with the WebEx Teams WebEx Teams client natively registering to the UCM. I basically combine both the meeting and the calling experience. So in terms of the portfolio, the device portfolio that Cisco has, Cisco UCM Cloud supports the broadest set of endpoints without any software updates. Obviously, the endpoint support is aligned with the specific UCM manager release, and all of those endpoints that are basically listed here are supported. UCM Cloud is deployed, as I mentioned, in the redundant data centers to assure services to the customers. In addition, UCM Cloud supports Cisco SRST technology, providing a viable survivability solution in the event of an outage. So the PSTN option, all the various, in terms of the integrations, let's talk about the contact center first. In terms of the versions of contact center that Cisco has today, whether it's an on-prem, they can be integrated in UCM Cloud. This allowing ultimate flexibility when migration into the cloud. So, it's Cisco, as I mentioned earlier, recently announced the availability of Contact Center Enterprise, Contact Center Express, available on the UCM Cloud, but all the other platforms that we have today can be integrated. Now let's talk quickly about the PSTN options. UCM Cloud supports all the PSTN connection options that are available in a traditional on-prem deployment, with the addition of cloud connected PSTN, which is coming shortly as well, because Cisco's goal is to align their offerings, and cloud connected PSTN is something that definitely makes sense because that same offering is available on the WebEx calling. So the PSTN bundle services, those are provided by the partners, and then the PSTN services via certified SIP trunk and then local gateway option that's available. So one of the major piece here is how do I get to the cloud is the connection, the private connection. UCM Cloud is a private cloud which establishes a private connection from customer network via Equinix as a meeting location to the UCM Cloud. Equinix is pretty popular when it comes to public cloud offerings. For instance, AWS Direct Connect. They leverage the same Equinix basically connection. So our private connection to UCM Cloud provides security, reliability, and consistent network performance with faster speed and low latency, delivering a more consistent and enhanced collaboration experience. In terms of the options that are available, there are really two UCM Cloud connectivity options. One is called Partner Connected, and the other one is basically Customer Connected, or is called Direct Connect. With the Partner Connected option, the partner aggregates and connects the customer's WAN to UCM Cloud in geographic regions where they offer the service. And the Direct Connect option provides direct connectivity from customer network to UCM Cloud, and I'll talk a little bit more about the Direct Connect. The Direct Connect provides multiple options for customers to connect to the UCM Cloud, and they basically means WebEx Edge, the Virtual Connect, Fiber Connect, and then the MPLS. The WebEx Connect, WebEx Edge basically is a customer where customers connect their WAN directly to the Cisco WebEx backbone via the Equinix Cloud Exchange. And then with the Virtual Connect, there are a couple options available with the Virtual Connect. Customers can extend their SD-WAN network directly to UCM Cloud. And currently, it's only supported, basically the only supported option right now is the Viptela solution from Cisco from an SD-WAN perspective. And Cisco is also working on the Meraki solution that's on the roadmap. And the other option within the Virtual Connect is the point-to-point VPN to the UCM Cloud. The Fiber Connect, it's a secure WAN connection via point-to-point fiber circuit directly to the UCM Cloud. And the customer is responsible for procuring the fiber circuit, and their services provider will connect to the UCM Cloud. With the MPLS Connect, it's a secure WAN connection via MPLS, and provided directly. It's provided through your provider, and the customer's MPLS provider will connect to the UCM Cloud. One thing to note that within the Direct Connect requires connecting to the customer WAN. So there's no need to individually connect each customer site so long as it is accessible by the WAN. All Direct Connect options also include the internet for MRA or over-the-top user access. In terms of the global availability, UCM Cloud is available via WebEx data centers in North America, EMEA, and Asia Pac. And every data center is engineered, controlled, and managed by Cisco to ensure the highest level of quality of service. And as a reminder, signaling is done in the cloud, but media is point-to-point. It's optimized for secure on-net media traversal. So as we know that with the UCM Cloud on-prem, there's lots of integrations, and you guys have take an example of call recording or provisioning or billing solutions. Those are tight integrations already built. So UCM Cloud allows for the third-party integrations on-prem customers have come to rely on. Some common examples of that I mentioned earlier, third-party integrations include the call recording, provisioning solutions, CRM middleware, or billing solutions. So the third-party applications are hosted either on customer or partner premises. So as I mentioned earlier, right now, only Cisco-specific UC applications are hosted on UCM Cloud, but all of these third-party applications are hosted on either customer premises or the partner premises. So the question comes up, how do we how we handle cloud maintenance and upgrades. So Cisco is responsible for maintenance and upgrade of the UCM cloud applications, UCM, Unity Connection, IML Presence. And one of the Cisco's requirement is that a customer may be operating on a release no older than N-1. So basically, for example, if you are on a release 14, you can still maintain 12.5 because there's no version 13 in between. So right now, when you start off, you'll start off with 12.5, and then you have the option to go to 14, or you can stay on 12.5. So the process really is that in order to upgrade the system, there are a three-step process. Cisco will inform the partner of release availability and planned upgrades, including upgrade requirements, as part of the business review program. The partner schedules an upgrade window, which is convenient for the customer, and at the successful completion of the upgrade, Cisco will notify the partner. One important thing to note for maintenance of shared infrastructure during the updates, the core services, for example, ability to make and receive phone calls, it is not impacted during the maintenance activity because Cisco built a lot of redundancy in their solution here. So there shouldn't be any issues with the dial tone and stuff. And sometimes, from an admin portal perspective, what access is granted? The chart here talks about, client or partner admin access to various different portals, and I'm just wanted to leave that on there for a few seconds to show that some of the access that really is Cisco is basically wouldn't give us access is the local accounts or the disaster recovery system, but the rest is either level 1 access, read only, or the read or update. So it really depends on, for instance, we have access to Communications Manager, the admin portal for all the applications that we have. We have read and so partner or the client, depending on the connectivity options, we have read or update options available. Now I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about some of the signaling and media walkthroughs on some of the flows here. So looking at this site 1 here, the call scenario with the extension 1001 calls, extension 1002, the signaling, as you can see, basically the red lines, traverses the UCM cloud, and the media is still local to the site between two endpoints. So this is the signaling and media intra-site calls. Looking at the next option, signaling and media inter-site calls. In this scenario, we've got two sites, site 1 and site 2. In this scenario, 1001 calls 2001. Signaling traverses UCM cloud, and the media remains on the customer WAN. And moving on to the centralized PSTN option, where we were, this was an example, site 1, the call scenario with the extension 1001 calls the 800 number. The signaling traverses the UCM cloud, and the media flow through the partner aggregation here, because it's basically it's a centralized PSTN. For local PSTN, again, if there's a site 1 and there's a local PSTN gateway, in that scenario, the 1001 call, the 800 number, the signaling traverses the UCM cloud again, and the media is basically located at the site. And this example basically shows the signaling and media over MRA without ICE. In this case, there's a remote device configured for MRA extension 1002. So when the extension 1001 call extension 1002, signaling traverses Cisco UCM cloud and partner aggregation to the internet. And both extension 1002 device will ring. Basically, both the on-prem and the remote device will ring. And in that scenario, the media flows through the partner aggregation. With that, I am going to turn over to Dan Farrell, who's going to be talking about the WebEx calling solution.
All right. Thank you, Tarek.
All right.
All right. In just a moment, you should be able to see my screen.
Looks good.
All right. So here we're going to talk about WebEx calling, Cisco's other cloud-based telephony service. My name is Dan Farrell. I am a collaboration architect at SMP. I focus on collaboration technologies, but I do have a background in network and data center as well. So when we are talking about WebEx calling or the UCM cloud, it's important to know that just because these platforms utilize some form of the internet, we need to make sure that your network is actually designed to be able to handle the load. So as we go through and we talk about what WebEx calling is and what it isn't, and we talk about some things like media flows, just keep that in the back of your mind. We have some more information coming out. This is just, the first discussion point regarding this topic. So if you have any questions around, hey, our network is designed in an older fashion, is it going to be able to handle this new cloud calling technologies? Just know that we can handle that end-to-end discussion. So what I would like to do first is talk to you about what WebEx calling is. WebEx calling is Cisco's cloud-based PBX that uses an over-the-top manner to actually deliver your signal and dial tone to your phones. So unlike UCM Cloud that uses MPLS Connect and stuff of that nature, we're going to exclusively use the internet. Sometimes that makes people a little bit uneasy, but I can tell you that I've operated, on the WebEx calling platform for quite some time. And if you're familiar with using technologies like mobile remote access, you're probably aware that you can get a very high quality audio connection as well as video over the internet. It is exclusively managed through WebEx Control Hub. So if you're not familiar with WebEx Control Hub, it's something that you're going to see more and more. Now, it's a little bit of a misnomer now having the word WebEx in the Control Hub title, because items like Jabber as well as CUCM are going to start to have management hooks into WebEx Control Hub. So as we talk about WebEx Control Hub and you see some things that I'm talking about, just be aware that even if you're not going to, pull the trigger on WebEx calling, for example, but you're looking at things like UCM Cloud or CUCM in the future, you should know that you're going to be interacting with the WebEx Control Hub in some manner. But WebEx calling is the Cisco Spark call replacement. So if you've heard Cisco's marketing slides back in the day, there was a platform called Spark. And Spark was a decent platform in its own respect, but this is the direct replacement of it, and you're going to see some evolutionary steps that have been taken. As we talk about what WebEx calling is, there's a few things that you should be aware that it is not. First and foremost, as Sean mentioned, WebEx is a marketing brand. Now, there's probably about 20 different terms that has the name WebEx bolted onto it. And there's a reason. It is truly a platform. It's not just a marketing decision. But as most people think about WebEx, they think of WebEx meetings. And then sometimes the other three centers, training center, event center, and support center. This is not one of those things. It can be added to that, but they're not directly related in that aspect. WebEx calling is not CUCM's replacement. Depending on what competitive solutions you may be, having discussions with, you're seeing marketing videos on, maybe events that you've attended. I've seen some pretty interesting stuff, and I'm sure that we can all agree. If you're not aware, CUCM is not legacy. It is not a legacy platform. It is not an end-of-life platform, and there is a very rich roadmap for it. So WebEx calling is designed, for deployments that are typically less than 1,000 seats. There are ways that it's going to grow far beyond that, but it is not CUCM's replacement in the scenario saying that as of 2020, CUCM is end of life and moving forward, it's WebEx calling or UCM Cloud. That's not what we're saying here. You can replace a CUCM depending on your environment, depending on your use case. But more often than not, you're going to see WebEx calling come right alongside of CUCM, maybe for remote sites. Maybe it is a migration strategy, but it is not a replacement product for CUCM directly. It is not a contact center. So though there are some features like call queuing that are very robust, WebEx calling is not a contact center. Tarek is going to talk to you about WebEx Contact Center, but it is a separate offer from WebEx calling. It can be integrated to WebEx calling, but WebEx calling is not a contact center. And it is not just another rebranding of Spark Call. Spark Call was rebranded as WebEx Calling. I'm calling it WebEx Calling 1.0, but I'm telling you that this is not the next, rebranding of that platform. It is completely different. It is based on different technologies, and it is internationally rolled out as we speak. So just be aware there is another WebEx Calling out there, and it is not what we're talking about today. The WebEx Calling that we're talking about today was the acquisition of Cisco's acquired BroadSoft, and that is the platform that we're talking about. But there's been some evolutionary steps that have been taken since the acquisition of that platform. Many changes that have brought a lot of the features that you know and love from CUCM into the cloud to make it easier for migrations or easier for site migrations. For example, you have a CUCM and you want to have a remote site on WebEx Calling. That's completely doable. But what do we do about, are there differences in the phone's firmware? Does it look different? So a lot of those items have been taken into account. And then WebEx Calling is not PSTN delivery by Cisco. Cisco is not a service provider. And regardless of which way you transact business with WebEx Calling, you're not going to get PSTN delivery from Cisco. So we will be talking about different ways to get PSTN delivery. So what type of features are available? This is not a platform that just came out. It's been a platform that has been out for some time. It has been taking a lot of steps, as we mentioned before, some of them to make it more, underneath the Cisco umbrella, and some of them to just completely add new features. So Cisco is constantly adding features. As of today, here's some high-level features that are available. There are some more things that are coming down the road, and everything that we have listed, like Call Park, for example, has different phases within it, so it's going to continue to be enhanced. So the other thing that we should talk about are actually the auto attendant and call queue. These are very, very powerful auto attendants and call queues. And when we talk about WebEx calling in the edge of your network, and that's towards the end of my presentation, just know that we could take things like WebEx Calling's auto attendant or call queues and put them in front of your communication manager to be able to centralize and offload some of those services. On the user, we pretty much have everything available that you'd want. Mobility services, voicemail, the concept of extension mobility. All the users will get a self-care portal. There is virtual attendant or receptionist console that's like a tenant console, and things like shared lines are available. And there's also some additional enhancements that are coming out in the form of third-party solutions. Examples include double call recording. So you can record directly from the cloud with nothing on premise. Red Sky is coming, as well as SingleWire. So we mentioned that Cisco is not a service provider. So how do you get PSTN connectivity to this platform? First, you can bring your own PSTN. We can use what's called a local gateway, or you might see in my documentation sometimes it's LGW. It's just the acronym for that. Depending on what version you pick, we can support things like POTS lines, PRIs, and SIP trunks directly to this cloud-based service. There is the Cisco ISR 1100 series and CSR Virtual. Those are SIP only, but the ISR 4300 and 4400s that you know and love, those can handle the SIP PRM POTS. And the key to that one is they're VSEC routers. So that means that the data is encrypted. So you should know that WebEx calling is an end-to-end encrypted platform. The other option is Cloud Connected PSTN. Tarek mentioned that before. That is a future item for UCM Cloud, but it is available today in WebEx calling. First and foremost, we have IntelliPeer. IntelliPeer has been around since the beginning of Spark Call back in the day. They are very good at providing PSTN connectivity. And there is some additional offers that are coming out. Examples are NTT, Arcadin, as well as multiple others that are in the process of being certified. These are just the ones that are in the United States as we speak, but there are cloud-connected PSTN providers throughout the world. And when we get into call flows, we'll talk about why you might want a local gateway and why you might want cloud-connected PSTN. So these are the 3 call path examples that I would like to go over today. I'm going to go over them quickly. We're going to be posting a blog about this, so there'll be some more information. We also have a preferred architecture from Cisco that goes elaborately into this. And we're going to be giving you some more examples down the road. These are just 3 that I wanted to talk about because they are different than UCM Cloud. First is the local gateway and cloud connected PSTN offer. So we have 2 different scenarios here. So let's look at the left side first. In this scenario, we have 2 endpoints that are going to be calling each other directly within the same location. Now the call flow today goes through the internet directly to WebEx calling first, and then it's going to come back down. If we were to go through the CCP model, we would be going, the endpoint would go through the internet, go through WebEx calling, and then would go out to the PSTN. But this is an internal example. The second one is the local gateway. So again, that's the ISR on site. So in this scenario, this user is going to call somebody that is not within the company, somebody who needs, maybe it's a pizza shop. Everybody likes to call the pizza guy. So we're going to call the pizza guy for some delivery to make sure that we're compliant with social distancing. So our user is going to pick up their numbers. They're going to dial. It's going to go through the internet to the WebEx calling SBC. That SBC is going to say, hey, I noticed that number is not within your dial plan. So we're going to send it right back down to your local gateway and out to the PSTN. The second option is you as a user, you have multiple locations. You have location A and location B. I apologize, I'm not very creative on names. So in location A, we said this location is going to use the cloud connected PSTN offer. So this is where you can see a little bit more of that call flow. So your user is going to pick up their phone. It's going to go to WebEx calling. It's going to go through the SBC within WebEx calling to a peering SBC. So ultimately, to you as a user, you're going to know that it's going to go to WebEx calling. And then it's going to go out to the peered cloud connected PSTN provider. So this is part of the reason why the CCP product is a certified product, because it is a peering agreement between the CCP vendors such as Intellipeer and Cisco through a peering SBC. So in this scenario, we're going to go through the WebEx calling layer, and then we're going to come out to the PSTN. At a different location, you're going to have a local gateway, as an example. In this scenario, we go through the SBC, but then we go back through your local gateway out to the PSTN. Now, you can have a mix and match of cloud connected PSTN and local gateway. And in fact, you can mix and match CCP vendors. So for example, if you want Intellipeer at one location, but you want a different one somewhere else in the world, that's completely possible, but you cannot mix and match a local gateway and cloud connected PSTN within one location. The other example is the multiple sites with one local gateway. So for example, say you have centralized SIP trunks. In this scenario, your location 2 does not have a local gateway, but it's going to dial out and it's going to go up to the internet. It's going to say, hey, I need to go down to my local gateway based on your dial plan. And then it can go through your CUCM or through your local gateway. So we can integrate CUCM as well as other third-party PBXs, which we can talk about in a little while. And again, this is a very high level, so we'll have some more information regarding signaling, call flow, bandwidth, that type of stuff. And then we also have some additional documentation. So if you'd like to see some of that documentation, please reach back out to us and we'll go through that. So WebEx calling is a Cisco product. Okay? So what devices are supported? First and foremost, Cisco multi-platform phones. So if you're not familiar with the concept of MPP, but you have a CUCM, you should know that if you have a CUCM, your firmware is going to have to be migrated to this MPP. If you have a flex agreement, that is an included item. You will not have to pay for it. If you do not have a flex agreement, there is a cost associated with it, and it's a one-way migration. So the 6800 series phones, if you're on-premise, you've never heard of them before, most likely, they're Cisco's entry-level IP phones that are exclusively offered as a multi-platform firmware. So that's why you don't see MPP, because there is no other option. The 7800s and 8800s, we need to flip them over to MPP. Analog. So there's the ATA 191, specifically the MPP line, the ATA 192, which is an MPP only analog. So these are 2 analog connections, FXS connections. Recently added was the Audio Codes Media Pack 17. You are probably the first to hear it. It launched yesterday. The Media Pack 1288 is going to be available very soon. I'm expecting it today, actually, and that will allow us to aggregate up to theoretical 288 FXS ports right into one gateway. And if you need to terminate that much analog, we should also look at the possibility of migrating it to IP. But no, it's there as an option. And then there's also the Room series. So this is a Cisco platform, so it is video first. All these features support video. As long as the IP phone or the device supports video, it's going to support video. So your RoomKit series, your Web Export, and Desk Pro, those are supported on the platform. Another view of that is this. I mean, we have endpoints from end to end. As you look at competitive solutions, the one thing that's really nice about that is this is all underneath the Cisco umbrella. So the software, the hardware, it's all designed to work together. It's one platform. So as we look at things like the WebEx Room USB, the WebEx RoomKit Mini, there's reasons why they're WebEx, right? So it's not talking about WebEx meetings. Again, it's talking about the platform. And then there's the new stuff like the Room Panorama, which is not actually currently supported on the WebEx calling platform. It's going to be UCM first, but this is the designed replacement for the IX5000, so the immersive endpoint. As far as soft clients, there's the WebEx calling app, and this would be deployed for a customer such as yourself who's saying, hey, you know, I really need Cisco's rich collaboration, rich telephony services, but maybe I don't want to have the concept of business messaging, or maybe I have another platform such as Microsoft Teams, for example. WebEx calling is a perfect solution for that. And by the way, as we're talking about Microsoft Teams, you should know that there is an API out to actually cross-launch WebEx calling out of that, if that's something that you're already going down that avenue. The other scenario is the WebEx Teams client, which is also known as the unified client. There's evolutionary steps that we talked about before. I have some more stuff on the next slides. And then the last question that people ask all the time is Cisco Jabber. So Cisco Jabber is not supported on WebEx calling. The unified client takes a good chunk of the Jabber features and puts it right into WebEx Teams. And as we talk about modularity, most of the time it's going to check that box. And again, we've talked about roadmap with Cisco Jabber. There's more items being developed on Jabber. It's not an end-of-life product. It doesn't have an imminent end-of-life stamp on it. So if you have things like Contact Center Express, for example, you're still going to need to have Jabber as an example. But as far as this platform is concerned, Jabber is not supported and cannot register to WebEx calling. So your users have the ability to use anything within the ecosystem. We have our standard IP phones that we've talked about. Again, they have to be multi-platform firmware. We have the Cisco headsets, the WebEx Teams client, and the WebEx calling soft client. Again, all of these for one vendor. You don't have to get one headset vendor, another IP phone vendor, and a different vendor for your phone system. These are all Cisco end-to-end. Makes your troubleshooting a lot easier. And it makes supporting it a lot easier because things like your headsets do show up in Control Hub. You're going to get that unified experience that we talked about. And depending on what feature set you're going to be enabled for as a user, you're going to have the ability to do things like calling, messaging, and meetings. And the client is modular. So as the unified client rolls out, you're going to be able to pick things like if you have a user who's calling only, or is messaging only, or maybe they're meetings only. The concept is really having one app to be installed, and then you can enable features as required without reinstalling software. Again, we talked about this. So here's a couple examples of what it looks like. These slides are, I apologize, they're a little bit blurry, and they're also a little bit dated because the UI has changed even since then. But the whole concept of being one client to install with the ability to select what features it has and what features it doesn't have. And it will be a user level configuration. So availability and the vision for WebEx calling. The Global cloud infrastructure is available, as Tarek talked about. It is truly global. The things that you should be aware of is that it's not only global, but it's regionalized. So your UI is going to be available in multiple different languages. And you're also going to have support for if you have international locations in that language as well. There's a lot of information on this slide, but the concept is that you have WebEx calling, Teams, and meetings. If you buy all three, you're going to get that one integrated vision. There's a lot of stuff on the roadmap, and it makes it a lot easier to be able to put your arms around it when you don't have solutions that are overlapping. And this is designed as one solution from the beginning. And as we talk about the vision, you see this additional layer here, WebEx Edge for calling. This is where it's really important to be aware that I said that Cisco is not end-of-lifing your communication manager, but we could, in fact, put WebEx Edge for calling, which is WebEx calling, basically, in front of your communication manager. So, for example, you could have your auto attendants right within here. And then when your agent is available, you can route them right to your call manager. We can put WebEx calling right in front of an Avaya system or a Mitel system or ShoreTel or whatever third-party PBX you want to have there. And we can even put WebEx Edge for calling in front of WebEx calling. Not going to get too much into that, but be aware that this platform, WebEx calling that we were talking about, is down here, right? So the overall solution and the power that is in there is also available up in the WebEx cloud to actually front end any of these different platforms. And integration can be done through a local gateway. And then again, everything is centrally managed through WebEx Control Hub. So in this scenario, you can have single sign-on and directory services. You have one throat to choke as far as your enterprise-grade security, and you're going to get some pretty good robust analytics as well. So how can you actually get your hands on this? First, we could set you up with a trial. Talk about that more at the end of the presentation. Secondly, if you're a Flex customer, we can sell to you in a named user or an enterprise agreement. The nice thing about Flex is, this is modular. So say you have an enterprise agreement for 3,000 users and you want to migrate 150 of them to the cloud. We can absolutely do that through a simple modification. We can mix and match. If you do not have an annuity contract with Cisco today and you're under 1,000 seats, there is a new offer out. It's brand new. It's only a couple weeks old. It's called the WebEx Work Bundle. And you'll see the top level is A-Work. This is a named user model that's designed for users who are just going into the cloud. So unlike Flex, which says I can mix premise and cloud, if you're trying to just cut right over to WebEx calling, or maybe you don't have a Cisco product right now, or maybe it's something that you need to just talk about. This is going to give you one SKU to give you WebEx calling, WebEx Teams, and meetings for a user very quickly. Additionally, it also allows us to burst users, and it is cloud only, so that's one thing. And with that, I need to hand it back over to Tarek, and Tarek will go over WebEx Contact Center with us.
Thank you, Dan. Can you please pass the ball over, please? All right, wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. My name is Tarek Sheikh. I'm the Director of Collaboration Solutions at SMP. Today I'm going to be talking about the WebEx Contact Center. So just to briefly talk about the Cisco Contact Center portfolio, the on-prem contact center solution, basically, which is available on-prem for partner hosted, or it really covers the small to mid-sized customers, and we know this very much, UCCX, it covers based up to 400 agents. And also there's an enterprise flavor available as well, which covers user agents up to 24,000 agents. So that's the on-prem solution that we are very much familiar with. Now, on the right side, you see the Cisco Cloud. This basically is the Cisco WebEx contact center, and we've already talked about the branding, the WebEx. So the native cloud offering from Cisco is the WebEx contact center, where the portfolio includes the hosted WebEx contact center. It's designed for the small to mid-sized organizations up to 1,000 agents. Also, Cisco recently introduced the WebEx Contact Center Enterprise solution, which is designed for businesses with up to 24,000. So basically, you think about the on-prem contact center enterprise that we have now. Cisco is offering that to the cloud as well. So both solutions take advantage of the WebEx single platform, in addition to the advanced speech recognition, experience management, and the analyzer. Like I'll be talking some of that in the next few slides. So the WebEx Contact Center offers, it offers standard and premium agent model via the Contact Center Flex subscription plan. A standard agent license provides all of the features that you see in front of you, and the premium agent option includes all of the standard agent features plus advanced supervisory capabilities and the omni-channel interactions. And then there are some additional add-on features like speech-enabled IVR, and I'll get a little more into some of the advanced features in the next few slides. So omni-channel, that's basically, as we know, where it provides voice, email, and chat communications in a unified environment. These interactions deliver a seamless customer experience to agents, managers, and administrators. Agents manage all the channels from within the same agent desktop. Also, basically, depending on the scenario, you can mix and match agents with the combination of voice, email, and chat queues based on the agent skill sets and the capabilities that they can, some agents are able to handle multiple channels simultaneously. Some can only handle probably, voice queue only or chat. Those are options available because of that omni-channel now. So it really kind of gives you additional interactions for the customer calls rather than just relying on the traditional voice channels that are out there been used for the longest time. Also, it provides a centralized universal queue basically for routing strategy for all channels and allows you to target most important interactions first instead of just the next stop. And also, you are able to see the customer history, and it is available to the agents. And customers are able to basically view the past interactions within the same, the agent desktop. And then basically they are able to simultaneously able to see when the voice call comes in, they are able to see if there was any additional past interaction from a chat or email perspective. Also, it talks about the universal queue, which allows routing of different types of interactions to meet SLAs. It creates a universal routing strategy and empowers the blended agent that I talked about. So the system obviously comes with the self-service capabilities in terms of the IVR capabilities with both touchdown and speech-enabled options for self-service IVR. The WebEx Contact Center can cover the needs regardless how simple or complex they are. It includes the callback, can be offered when estimated wait time exceeds a threshold, multilingual option for text-to-speech, and speech recognition to cover diverse customer base. Also, there's options for the voice and chat bots, and can really reduce agent workload while bot can handle less complex requests. With the skills-based routing, the customers are matched to the agent with the best skills to improve first contact resolution, customer satisfaction, and the Net Promoter Score. I mean, that basically is something that's also, there's a predictive analytics-based routing as well. That's part of the solution. From the agent desktop perspective, some of the key features available within the agent desktop are the unified agent user experience, the native agent workflow, call handling, screen pops, call control, click to dial, and the omnichannel communications that I talked about. The built-in chat capability for agents. This means agents don't have to leave their desktop experience to send a message to the back office experts or to a customer. So within the same interface, you are able to communicate with the agents. The embedded voice and chat collaboration capabilities and integrations within unified communications provide an on-demand collaboration between agents, managers, and subject matter experts throughout the enterprise to, the speed that first contact resolution and enhance the customer's journey. So there is an integrated the workforce management the WFO suite, which is the workforce optimization solution. That includes the quality management, the workforce management, and the analytics solution that empowers the contact center of all sizes to optimize agent performance and leverage that data that provides true insights into the voice of the customer. I'm not going to go into that detail, but basically the quality management, the workforce management, the WFO analysis. So all those, if you have on-prem contact center and you're leveraging WFO, that solution is available on the cloud as well. The application integrations. The open architecture allows custom integrations via open API. The WebEx Contact Center integrates easily with a variety of business applications, including interactive voice response, IVR, CRM, and WFM applications as well. It provides a single, solution for speech-enabled IVR, built-in out-of-the-box business app connectors, telephony options, the outbound campaigns. There's a list of features that it has available in terms of the third-party integrations and stuff. From the architecture perspective, the WebEx Contact Center is deployed as geographically diverse data centers in the US, EMEA, and Asia Pac. And within those, contact center, the architecture uses N+ components, primary and the secondary servers. And they're obviously redundant data centers, and the network monitoring is 24/7 by 365. And Dan talked about the control hub, and the same thing with the contact center, WebEx Contact Center. The user provisioning is done within the control hub. So the WebEx Control Hub offers a single pane of glass for all of the Cisco WebEx services, including the WebEx Contact Center. The WebEx Contact Center user is initially set up in Control Hub, and for the rest of the configurations, there's a portal that cross launches. Eventually, the goal is to bring all of the services within Control Hub. So it has a very powerful tool called Analyzer. This Analyzer provides a real-time operational dashboards and reports. The graphs and the live visualization really allows you to understand what's happening within the call center. And you are able to drill down and identify any problems. Maybe, for example, I've got an agent who has been on a call for, let's say, 15 minutes, but the average handle time is set for 2 minutes. So I want to have that supervisor to go in and maybe monitor that call and be able to understand what's happening with the call. And is the agent struggling, or is there something going on that requires additional resources or intervention? And the tool also allows you to build custom reports, and the slice and dice. You basically are able to allows you to slice and dice the data in different areas. So how AI really improves the customer experience? Really, it's basically by making the agents smarter. I mean, we are arguing them. We are not really replacing the agents. The idea is that we can put AI in front of on a call tree, and then the basic initial, reputation tasks for the agents. They can, really remove repetitive tasks from the agents so they can focus on more complex customer requests. And basically, it leverages AI-enabled capabilities to enhance customer self-service. The self-service, we talked about the chat bot and the voice bot. Those options are available. So some of you might be aware that the Cisco, back in September or so, acquired a company called the Cloud Cherry. And it's called the WebEx Experience Management. It's basically the next-gen AI-powered cloud CEM solution that improves customer experience by giving companies greater insight across the entire customer journey, by mapping their experiences across all touch points in the organization and consolidating the data that was once siloed. So it basically provides the post-call IVR, email, and web intercept surveys, and it's basically a tool that really help with the really going through that journey that we talked about earlier. That's a new tool. It basically gives you the the CSAT, the NPS, the feedback as well, and we're looking forward to bringing that on board and being able to demo that down the road. So I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to talk about just the overall architecture of WebEx Contact Center. As we know, the history of the WebEx Contact Center solution, it's the acquisition from Broadsoft. So how it is really tied to the Cisco WebEx data centers or the WebEx Contact Center data centers. On the right, you can see the enterprise where we would have CM on-prem or a WebEx calling. Basically, that's the solution talks about. There's a couple options. Cisco is really working in the behind, where WebEx Contact Center really does need a call control, and right now it relies on on-prem communications manager as a call control, and where you bring your own PSTN. Also, Cisco is working on, as I mentioned, WebEx calling integration at the back end with the WebEx Contact Center so that the call control is available in the cloud. And also, as part of the PSTN option, Cisco is working on getting the cloud connected PSTN available in the cloud so that we don't have to rely on the on-prem PSTN. So right now, if you can see, the contact center, there's basically a SIP trunk, and it basically goes over the top. The communication goes over the top. It's all secure, TLS and the SRTP. Those options are available. It's the cube basically that gets set up. There are various options where the cube is set up and basically connects to the WebEx Contact Center, and it's used as the gateway for PSTN. So the enterprise queue that I just briefly talked about, the way it works is that with the cube and the WebEx Contact Center performs a one-time activation for bidirectional SIP trunks to pass traffic between the platforms, and then WebEx Contact Center sees this inbound call as it came from a carrier. So in terms of the outbound, the WebEx Contact Center sends outbound calls to the cube, whether the calls are routed to the agent or to the PSTN. In terms of the call control options, as I talked about briefly, the call control is delivered by SIP trunks over public infrastructure between the WebEx Contact Center voice POP and the customer SPC. From a supported platform perspective, it's basically B6K, 7Ks, UCM, HES with Cube. And then Cisco would consider, depending on other call control options, after some review. Let's just talk about the telephony providers from inbound perspective. The enterprise is responsible for receiving and routing all PSTN calls to the WebEx Contact Center platform. As of this, Cisco is, as I mentioned earlier, working on bringing the PSTN, centralized PSTN, so that it eliminates that dependency of having an on-prem PSTN. And for the outbound, all calls are routed to enterprise responsible for terminating and usage and billing. It includes all the agents and the PSTN. And at the end, I just wanted to show you that if you are very familiar with the on-prem, UCCX, where we have to go and edit the script or create a script from scratch or use the script editor, this sample call flow just shows a drag and drop where we are just dragging and dropping objects, and it creates a call flow, and we just go into each option that we see here, and we can configure the call tree within a few seconds, and it's pretty straightforward to drag and drop objects and create a call flow. So with that, I'm going to be passing ball back to Sean so that he can talk about the next steps. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tarek. Okay, so that was a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I think it does a great job of showing how much emphasis Cisco, from a collaboration technology group perspective, is putting on cloud infrastructure and embracing and adapting to the trends that are out there. So with that said, 90% of IT leaders will not purchase new on-premise based UC infrastructure by 2021. And that's coming from Gartner directly. It doesn't mean that folks, to Dan's point earlier, who have installed bases of Unified Communications Manager today aren't going to be supported with a wonderful roadmap and upgrades going forward. All of that's going to be available, right? 14 isn't even released yet, UCM 14, and that's always going to be around because UCM Cloud is such a big piece of their story. So whether you choose to put it on-prem or operate in a hybrid space and trunk clusters together, for example, that's just fine. But the point of this messaging is, with cloud telephony being as capable as it is now, 90% of IT leaders will not purchase a new on-premise based UC platform. To go back to the very, very beginning, what are 5 business reasons to move collaboration to the cloud? We talked about agility. Right? So the ability to turn up and turn down as needed. COVID is a perfect example of that. Simplicity, scalability, and speed. All right, so increasing agility, while not necessarily a business benefit as far as how we look to tie outcomes, it ends up being vital here because it's been a pain point for organizations for a very, very long time. Staying current. So this goes back to compliancy. Not only does that allow you to take advantage of the next generation features that are put out there for you, but allows you to stay secure, okay, and always up to date. Reduce total cost of ownership, so lower CapEx and optimize OpEx spend. Cisco does still provide you with the flexibility to consume the technology as you want. While subscription-based in nature, it doesn't mean that if you prefer CapEx and you prefer to buy 1, 3, or 5 years up front, you still have the ability to do that, okay? Raising productivity. Raising productivity is a business benefit. You can enhance mobility and team collaboration, okay? And this is one of the business benefits that I referred to earlier. And then adding intelligence with integrated cognitive collaborative experiences. So, Tarek talked about AI in the contact center. Dan talked about AI in visibility and analytics in WebEx calling. And you already know what you get with UCM Cloud and meetings. So adding intelligence ends up being a great business reason. This checks 3 of the 5 that we typically try and align solutions to. That is productivity enhancements, risk reduction, and at the end of the day, hard cost savings by reducing TCO. So after all of that, just to summarize UCM Cloud or WebEx calling, the two can coexist, and they will coexist in some environments depending on the use case. UCM Cloud allows you to take advantage of all of those investments that you've made historically, right? So endpoint support, gateways, SRST, trunking to other clusters. And as you choose to move more and more workloads out to the UCM Cloud, you have the ability to do so. It also allows tried and true ecosystem partners like SingleWire, Red Sky, Acadian Labs, all of these platforms that have been built over time to take Cisco to the top when it comes to collaboration, telephony, contact center, and meetings, you can still continue to leverage those. And that's the power of the direct connect or partner connect model, right? Moving through Equinix. WebEx calling, over-the-top solution, more like those that you hear of and that are marketed a lot today. Ring Centrals, 8x8s. The difference, WebEx calling is much older than them. All right, so keep in mind they acquired BroadSoft, the largest, biggest, and most scalable cloud telephony platform there is. So you have options depending on what your use case is. I see a lot of folks taking advantage of one or the other, and in our discussions that we've had since we started supporting these solutions, it's been a really, really healthy distribution, almost 50-50 down the center. The applications that you can take advantage of exist regardless of the solution that you choose. Cisco in the enterprise. I think if I were to make the point right now after you hearing what you heard, you know UCM's been around since the late 90s. You know BroadSoft's the oldest collaboration platform from a cloud perspective in contact center and voice out there, and we know WebEx Meetings is the oldest and the original. They are the leader in this space. The new things that they're working on are simply based on request from industries and trends, you know, next generation features, and then making all of those platforms better by making tighter integrations and allowing you to take advantage of the cloud when you're ready. Okay, I think if you look at the top right box here, 61% of the cloud calling market share. That's made up of UCM Cloud, HCS, so service provider HCS, and BroadSoft at the end of the day. So over 60%, they don't get in space unless they can be number one. All right, so be very, very cautious of the newer platforms that are out there and make sure that you do your due diligence and determine that it's actually going to meet your needs. We can help you with that. Okay, we're having these discussions all the time. So a call to action, if you will. How can you get started? For those who want to see the tech, they want to see the platforms, they want to play with the platforms, dCloud Labs is something that's available to our clients, you on this call, to go out and see the solutions and play with them live. All right, you can go out there and schedule time to look at UCM Cloud, WebEx Calling, or WebEx Contact Center. If you have any questions on how to get started there, please reach out to us and we'll let you know. There's trials for both WebEx Calling and WebEx Contact Center. We'll talk about those in a moment. We have executed several of these, dozen plus of these since COVID itself, with some great success stories wrapped around those. We'd be happy to talk to you more about them. And then proof of concepts with both SMP and Cisco. We know that it's very, very important that you truly vet the technology that you're going to invest in. SMP does proof of concepts and proof of values all the time. Right? So if you have any questions on how you could get started there in the trial and couple that with some SMP services or adoption services and training to really ensure that it's going to meet your success criteria, we're here for you. The WebEx Calling trial. So this is what Dan Farrell spoke about. There's a free 90-day trial out there right now. All the calling services are available with a fully paid license, right? Meaning as a fully paid license. You get everything in the trial that you would get if you were to have bought it outright. Cisco WebEx Teams and the WebEx Calling app are both available. Again, Cisco WebEx Teams would be more of that messaging, workstream messaging app, right? And WebEx Calling would be the soft phone side of that. Cisco IP phones loaned in limited quantities. We would have to take a look at that. Right now, I'm sure everybody can imagine with COVID how that's been impacted, but there are loaners in limited quantities. Trial PSTN services, so you can stand up a full trial with connectivity to the outside world with inbound calls, everything that you would expect to take advantage of for a call control platform with PSTN included at no cost. And there's no committed minimum volume or contract terms here. The WebEx Contact Center quick deployment offering. So this quick deployment solution bundles the premium agent software. So if you were to go back to Tarek's discussion where he talks about their standard and premium, you get all of the features that are available in WebEx Contact Center, along with PSTN for calling. So they're including, again, the PSTN for your contact center, omni-channel, all the skills-based routing and groups that you would expect, and the reporting capabilities for up to 1,000 concurrent agents. Very quick deployment. We have spun this up in just a handful of days, all right? Short-term commitment, 90 days, with flexible month-to-month options for up to 12 months thereafter. There's no committed minimum volume or contract terms. Free toll and local number access and PSTN delivery of agent calls at no cost for 90 days. And what's great about WebEx Contact Center, if you think about how some of the older platforms were, there's no need for a VPN connection to get to the service because it's cloud-based. So you can be sitting at home, use your desktop, and take advantage of it there. And keep in mind that this is device agnostic too. Okay, so WebEx Contact Center can do some incredible things by taking advantage of home phones and mobile devices. Okay. With that, that is all we had today. I know we're right up at the top of the hour. It was a ton of content. If you have any questions about anything that you heard today, please do not hesitate to reach out to us.